Wildfire may be the weirdest location for a large-scale thrill coaster, and this is a record-breaking ride too, as it's currently the world's tallest wood coaster. Rather than being located at a full-fledged amusement park, you'll find this Rocky Mountain construction creation at Kolmården Zoo in Sweden. But this ride is not just a statistical monster, it is also the best wood coaster in all of Europe. I will explain why in this review. Kolmården Zoo opened back in 1965. For years, this was exclusively an animal park, but over the past 15 years, they've started adding amusement rides. Most are geared more towards kids, but the park made a seemingly out-of-nowhere giant splash in 2014 when they announced Wildfire. Why on earth was this ride added to a zoo? I have two thoughts. First, this is a highly successful zoo, and they want to tap into a different demographic with a high thrill coaster. Second, Kolmården Zoo is owned by Parks and Resorts Scandinavia. Their signature park is Grønna Lund, which does not have room for a coaster on the scale of Wildfire. Grønna Lund spans just 9.4 acres, and this coaster is roughly half that in size. Meanwhile, Kolmården Zoo is roughly 370 acres, so land is not an issue for them. Wildfire was marketed as the world's best wood coaster. The ride opened in 2016 as the fourth and final Topper Track wood coaster ever built by Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC. What made these coasters different than traditional woodies was their track stack. Traditional woodies have a thin steel rail placed atop stacks of wood. Topper Track had a much thicker piece of steel atop the wood. This would provide a smoother, quieter, and wilder ride than conventional wood coasters. Wildfire opened as the tallest and fastest coaster in all of Scandinavia. It would also be the tallest and fastest wood coaster in all of Europe. And in 2021, it earned the distinction as the world's tallest wood coaster. Why the delayed accolade? Dollywood opened another RMC Topper Track wood coaster in 2016 named Lightning Rod. This ride had a reported height of 207 feet or 63 meters. While this record-breaking coaster was undeniably excellent, it was plagued with mechanical issues. Most of them stemmed from being the world's first launch wood coaster, but it also had structural issues. These were so severe that 57% of the layout was replaced with steel iBox track for the 2021 season. This made Lightning Rod more of a steel coaster, giving Wildfire the title as the world's tallest wood coaster. Wildfire shares that distinction with Everland's T-Express, which is also 184 feet or 56 meters tall. Despite this immense height, you can't actually see Wildfire for much of Kolmården. This coaster is no exaggeration a 25 to 30 minute walk from the main entrance, and you will not see this coaster until you're right on top of it. But it's a wow moment when it's revealed. The truss lift structure and first drop look imposing, and I love how the coaster winds its way over a rocky hill. It is one of the best settings for any coaster. The ride also has a bit of theming. The ride has a great sign above the entryway. Then the station features all sorts of logging equipment, including some moving belts on the ceiling. The trains also look good too. They have an industrial look to them. The park owns 2 trains. Each is comprised of 6 cars, and each car is 2 rows of 2, so the trains can seat a max of 24 riders per cycle. But I believe the park typically runs just 1 train, and that's fine for the crowds this park sees, especially because the crew checks the trains reasonably quickly for an RMC. They spot check that the seatbelts have been buckled before reviewing the restraints. Wildfire has similar restraints to the other Topper Track and iBox coasters. You have a U-shaped lap bar with shin guards. These are fine for me, but I know the shin guards can get tight for taller riders. And unlike most RMCs, the staff doesn't really push down the restraint. They only pull up when checking the train. Most people understandably visit Kolmården for the animals. I have only visited Kolmården on extremely rainy days, so Wildfire has been a total walk-on for me. But even on beautiful summer days, I've never heard of this coaster having more than a 15-minute wait at worst. This coaster is a ginormous queue line that stretches all the way down to the first drop, but I doubt it has ever come close to being filled. Because this ride is in the very back of the park, heading here first will give you the opportunity to marathon this coaster without getting off the train. You will also have a better chance to get the row you'd like. Seating on Wildfire is on a first-come basis. The park does not allow you to wait an extra cycle if the row you want is already occupied and the coaster is a line. Later in the day, this can make it a bit tricky to get the front row on this coaster if it has developed a queue. That being said, I think the back car is the best spot to experience Wildfire. This doesn't seem too hard to get even if Wildfire has a queue because most people seem to fill the train front to back. The main advantage of the back car is that you get the full force of the first drop. So do you need to avoid a wheel seat or the back of a car with Wildfire? No. This ride is still one of the smoothest wood coasters out there, which is mighty impressive given the ambitious layout. With some of the other topper track wood coasters, the back of a car can give a slightly bumpier ride. This is most evident with Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City, and Lightning Rod back when it ran as an all-wood coaster. So it'll be interesting to see how Wildfire holds up over time. The only issue this coaster has had since opening was when the government revoked its operational permit in October of 2016. This was on the basis of environmental concerns. When the ride was being built in 2015, zoning was not required. But in October 2016, the county decided zoning was now required, terminating the building permit that was previously granted. Wildfire's future was very much in doubt, and there were actual concerns it would need to be torn down. But thankfully, a new zoning plan was approved in March of 2017, allowing the coaster to resume operations. Once dispatched, you turn out of the station and ascend the towering lift hill. RMC's newer coasters have developed a reputation for some of the loudest lift hills in the industry. Good luck speaking to your riding buddy over those. However, Wildfire is a case study that RMC can make a quiet lift hill if the park wants one. This barely makes any noise, which is certainly a good thing because it's adjacent to all sorts of animal enclosures. At the top, you have a small dip and navigate a 270-degree spiral high above the ground. This actually gives some weak and sustained laterals, but it's more notable for the sights. Kolmarden Zoo is located adjacent to the Baltic Sea, so you get a stunning vista overlooking the water. It is one of the best views of any coaster. Breaking up that beautiful view is the ride's incredible first drop. It's 16 stories tall, and it features a super steep 83-degree angle of descent. If you're in the rear rows, you get very strong and sustained ejector airtime the whole way down. It's one of the best drops of any RMC between the sheer size and airtime strength. The subsequent pullout then blasts riders with powerful positive Gs. They were strong enough to cause me to start to gray out on a few rides, which is a rarity in a wood coaster. This leads into the first of 3 inversions, the giant zero-G stall. This is a phenomenal inversion. The twist into it delivers solid laterals, particularly in the front row where they're extra abrupt. Then everyone gets several seconds of hang time while upside down. The sensation is sweet on its own, but it's extra cool because you have tons of near misses with the adjacent supports. You then dive back down to the ground, treating riders to another dose of nice positive Gs. This leads to an amazing twist and shout. RMC is no stranger to sideways airtime hills, but usually they're much smaller than this. So you not only poke above the tree line, getting another great view of the sea, but you also get plenty of negative Gs. This maneuver offers substantial and sustained ejector airtime. It sort of reminds me of the wave turn on Twisted Cyclone. Wildfire then barrels through a mist-filled tunnel. The sense of speed is marvelous here. Then you start climbing the hill. This starts with a super snappy S-hill. This delivers a quick lateral slam combined with a strong ejector pop. It is a really wild moment. That's immediately followed by a big bunny hill over the road. This ride's very similar to the bunny hill in Wicked Cyclone after the double down. You get sustained airtime, but the negative Gs aren't quite as strong as usual for an RMC element. The airtime toes the line between weak ejector and good floater, but I still enjoy the moment a lot between the quantity of airtime and the speed. Next comes a wave turn. Wildfire has started to lose some speed at this point because you're up the hill, but everyone will get an okay pop of airtime while on their side. The coaster loses even more speed into the next element, but it sort of works to its advantage there. It's a barrel roll down the hill, so it feels like a barrel roll down drop on something like Twisted Timbers. You rebuild your speed while getting plenty of hang time in the process. It's a bit wilder in the front because the speed loss at the apex causes you to lean forwards during the inversion. You then fly over a bunny hill, further dropping you down the hill. This hill gives a nice pop of ejector airtime for all. You then climb back up the hill. Wildfire again loses quite a bit of speed doing so the negative Gs aren't too intense here. You get a decent pop in the front, but really weak airtime in the back. You then swoop downwards and navigate the final inversion, a 0G roll. The train is pulled through the maneuver, giving everyone good laterals and hang time simultaneously. Plus, you have all sorts of head choppers with the supports once again. Wildfire then hops upwards, giving an okay ejector pop. Then the coaster continues the twist upwards. This is where the ride really loses a lot of speed. The train crawls over this hill, so much so that you won't get any airtime up front, a rarity on an RMC. This leads in the ride's final drop. It's decently tall, but you have so little speed into it that those in back just get a little bit of airtime. The best part about this element is the terrifying near miss with the drop supports. You then have a few low-to-the-ground S-bends. No real force to them, but you are traveling at a good clip at least. You then twist into the final brake run, and then you return to the station, ending the 4,150 foot, or 1,265 meter long coaster. Length is certainly not this ride's issue. It's not only the longest topper track Woody ever built, but it's one of RMC's longer coasters in general. My biggest issue with this coaster is the pacing. Wildfire is one of the best first halves of any coaster. If that intensity could have been maintained until the very end, this would easily be a top 10 coaster for me. However, the ride loses quite a bit of speed later in the ride when it keeps climbing up the hill. This wouldn't be a problem if the forces were still strong, but a few of those hills towards the end are among the weakest of any RMC. So what would I rate Wildfire? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent coaster. This is easily the best wood coaster in all of Europe, and one of the best rides in all of Scandinavia. I absolutely adore this ride setting. Between the views of the sea and the way the coaster works its way through the woods and over the cliff, it's like something out of a dream. And this coaster does a lot of things well. The 3 inversions are spectacular, and the airtime moments in the first half are excellent. Plus, it's still very smooth. I just wish the ride was more consistent start to finish. The second half is fun, but it doesn't finish with a bang like a lot of RMCs. Still, this coaster should be on everyone's bucket list because it's such a unique coaster whose standout moments are as good as any ride. So those are my thoughts on Wildfire at Kolmarden Zoo. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Is it your favorite Woody in Europe as well? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.